They also found that after losing work, older workers take the longest to return back into the work environment. Let's bring into the conversation employment expert Judy Bullimore. Judy, very good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Judy, does an older worker have a disadvantage when it comes to getting back into the job market?
I think on one hand, maybe. I think it depends on what the pitch is. So on what level people are applying. I think that if they're going for a role that they've done before, or maybe is the next level, they could be at an advantage. But I think if they're going for roles that they may be overqualified for, they're going to be at a disadvantage. And also, I do think ageism does play into, unfortunately, I think it's, very real, forms of discrimination.
Okay, I would tend to agree with you. It is illegal, of course, so how do people get away with it? Because it does seem to exist, and it is pervasive.
It's one of my biggest frustrations, and I call it, myself personally, I call it short-sightedness on the part of an employer or an interviewer, because they kind of make out as though they're looking for the right candidate or they're looking for the right person, but actually, they've got a very clear, some of them, not all of them, but some of them have a very clear idea of what they want, and then it's shrouded in like a job description that seems very open and very equal, and unfortunately it's not. So I do think that they might say, oh, people are overqualified, or they may say, oh, it's not what we're looking for. We went to somebody who had X amount of experience or had a particular thing that another person didn't. And I think that's why it's so important that people have that resilience and that confidence in themselves, because it is a really emotionally, draining process applying for jobs right now.
Well, it always has been, but even more so now. This is what I don't understand, Judy. Someone's applying for a job. They're sometimes told you haven't got the right experience. We can't take you on. But where that person, that candidate, might say, "Well, I'm willing to learn. Give me a chance." But it's having the chance in the first place. At the other end of the work scale, I never quite understood when people say to candidates, "You're overqualified." Well, surely that's the right person. If that's the role, being overqualified shouldn't be seen as a problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that is why I think it's really, really important that two things. One, that people are aligned to the roles that they're applying for. Now, I totally understand, especially with everything that's happened, that people need a job, but because of the pickiness of employers and interviewers, because they're looking for this ideal person, that skills and experience actually isn't enough anymore. It's about having the right kind of personality and the right kind of values that go with the role, and that comes from knowing what you want and attracting that, so that it doesn't feel like a rejection. It doesn't feel like you failed in some way for not getting that job if you know that you are absolutely aligned to the roles that you're applying for. I do think that it's a two-way process. People need to be really clear on what roles they want and to be kind of aligned to it at the same time. And I do think, I do think that interviewers are very short-sighted sometimes.
Judy, what if you haven't made or updated your CV in years, or you've forgotten how to? Because I've never had an interview in my life. I mean, I wouldn't know where to start. Because I think these days you've got to make a TikTok video or something, haven't you?
Oh, it is. There's a whole technique to having the type of CV that's going to stand out amongst the competition, and it's, as I've said before, it's not about skills and experience. It's not just about that. It's about how aligned a person feels they are for the role. So then it's about maximising all the extras. So, how do you approach things? What kind of person are you? And it kind of goes with the core offer. If people are just really clear on what unique stamp they feel that they can bring to the role and put that in their application document, lead with that in the CV, that is going to have the competitive edge, rather than listing, in bullet points, skills and experience. So there is kind of an art to being able to stand out.
And can someone get in this day and age, because our standards have slipped so dramatically, will people get away with a spelling or grammatical mistake in the CV?
Again, this is about being really authentic when people are applying, rather than trying to engineer every word to exactly what the employer and interviewers are looking for. There is something about just showing who you are and what you represent in that application. So a little error of, a little word, a little typo, if amongst everything you've shown what evidence you have, what core offer, what unique thing that you can provide, I think it can actually be forgiven, because the people that are shortlisting are still people at the end of the day. They just want to get the right person for the right role.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you for your time this afternoon. Employment expert Judy Bullimore. Could be the person that's interviewing you. They can't spell either, but who knows. Text 81333.